Hello, everyone. This is David Rothfeder, starting off the second season of Night Witches. This is a game about Soviet female bomber pilots during World War II who were under-equipped and really fucked up some Nazis. The last time I ran this was probably about 6 months ago, what we did was we played through the entire first real mission base. And we did one session per episode and really built up to what happened. So in that first season, we had several pilots. I think a total of 6. Some of whom were there only for a session. Some that were there the entire way through. And what we did was, the group got together. They learned about each other. There was internal squabbles over who got to pilot what. Missions were failed. Blame went around. People started hating each other over it. Shit got really real, and comrades started dying. And the group really came together to save the day. But at some pretty bad expenses, such as the NKVD started calling people traitors. They executed one airwoman without trial. That was pretty brutal and pretty heartbreaking, from what I recall. Seriously, the whole squadron is under investigation. But there was a ray of hope in that your last mission at that Air Force base, you broke mission protocol and broke off to defend the fighter battalion that was a media favorite. And that caught the attention of one of the lieutenant generals, who now is very interested in this particular squadron. So that may mean that if you continue that relationship and continue to impress him, he may force the NKVD off your backs. Or if you fuck up, it may turn a potential friend into an enemy. So, there's that. Behind the scenes, there's been some romance going on as well, and some romance that isn't really approved of by the Russian military. But we're going to learn much more about that. So for now, let's have our players introduce themselves. Bethany, would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Bethany. I don't know. I live in North Carolina. I'm played with the Gauntlet for about almost a year now, and had a really great time the first season of this game, so I'm glad I'm back for the second season. And don't know. Somebody else, please go.
Donna?
Hi, my name is Donna McCarthy. I'm based in Dublin, in Ireland, and I've been gauntleting for about 2 years. And the Night Witches season we played a while back is definitely the highlight of my gaming year so far. So thanks very much, David, and for all my other pilots. That's about it.
Hey, everybody. I am Jim Crocker, and most folks who know me because I'm a hobby game retailer. I sell indie games like Night Witches and other role-playing games at cons all around the Northeast and the Midwest. And I joined the Gauntlet, 6 months ago or so, when I closed my physical stores so that I have a community to still be a part of. And I have been loving every single Gauntlet game I've played so far. I played a game of Unknown Armies with David that was a particular highlight of my my time on the Gauntlet, and am really looking forward to being the rookie on the crew here, who will almost certainly not be welcomed with open arms by this close-knit group of veterans. So I'm really looking forward to that.
It's hard to say. It could go either way. So for those So for those who aren't familiar with the game, this is a Powered by the Apocalypse game that is based on a real life historical, basically squadron. Actually bigger than squadron. I'm not big on military terms, so I'm going to get them wrong all the time. But basically, the Russian Air Force experimented with having women come in and be Air Force pilots. And remember, this is the 1940s, a time where sexism was really high. It was absurd to think that women could be soldiers at that time. There were, at the beginning of the experiment, there were two main units. One was the harassment bombers, which is what the game Night Witches is about, and the other was actually a mixed gender unit of fighter pilots. And the fighter pilots was the one that was actually beloved by the media. It was the one that was put into all of the press and everything. The ones that were the harassment pilots, they got the shittiest missions. They got the shittiest planes. They got the shittiest, basically, supplies. And they basically, everyone expected this squadron of just women to fail. Instead, these women took the worst possible situations they could and basically turned them into victories. They were given planes that were effectively co-opted crop dusters, so slow biplanes that were loud as all heck. What the only advantage that these planes had was that they stayed in the air very well, even at slower speeds. So what they would do is they would actually turn off their engines during a bombing run as they were approaching, drop their bombs so the Germans couldn't hear them, and then turn their engines back on to get away, which was a crazy thing to do mid-flight. But that's what these women did 10 times a night. They didn't do just one bombing run and then was done. No, they would go back, refuel, reload up on bombs, and go back out again about 10 times a night, every night. The German fighter planes couldn't shoot these women down because their planes were so much slower than the German fighters that by the time the Germans lined up the shot, they had to change direction to avoid a collision. At one point, and this is one that I haven't been able to verify, but I've heard this story several places. At one point, the Night Witches were actually cornered. And the Germans didn't know where their base was, but the squadron couldn't get supplies. They couldn't get away. Their Air Force base basically could just do runs, but were stuck there alone. So during the day, which was when these women would sleep, they dug up German railroad lines, took up the ties, strapped them to their planes, and that's what they dropped on the German tanks, just to piss them off and to derail their trains. So that was, these were hardcore women. By the way, the name Night Witches was what the Germans called them because they couldn't touch them. They were silent. They were flying silently at night, as far as the Germans could tell. Their planes couldn't get shot down by fighters. As far as the Germans were concerned, these women were witches. And it took them a while to find out that it was actually women who were doing this to them. So that said, I've posted the information from the characters from last time. Overview of the rules of the game, just so you know. There are, 3 key stats and then 1 stat that is kind of a special stat. So the 3 stats are skills, guts, and luck. And the 4th stat, which is kind of a special stat, is medals. So skill is basically anything that is used for like technical knowledge, how to navigate well, how to repair something. Some things during flying sometimes take skill, but it's basically that technical knowledge and how well you can perform that. Guts is more of that sort of instinct. So a lot of flying moves involve guts because you've got to be brave into doing it. But it's also used for some moves like acting up, which actually there's a couple of things that go into acting up. And then there's luck, which is kind of a, hey, what can you get away with in a bad situation? So it kind of, a lot of these traits kind of apply in surprising ways. And the best way to look at it is actually at the moves. The last stat is medals. And this is a measurement of how well recognized you are by the Soviet army. And it's literally how many medals you've earned. The more prestigious medals you have, the more you can influence just by your position within the military, which is very, very important because so few people will have your backs that medals can be very, very powerful. You'll notice, though, it can be really hard to get those because it is you can only get medals that will give you that stat through level ups. So that and level ups are not the easiest thing to get. So that said, let's just talk a little bit about each move. There's the eyeball. The game is separated into two types of moves and two phases of the game. There is the day phase, and that's where all of your character interactions will take place. It's where you have to deal with the politics of the Soviet army. It's where you have to deal with your fellow airwomen. And things, and it's the time where you get to take care of yourself, which is very important because if you don't take care of yourself, you will take harm. So those moves are things like eyeball, which is kind of like sizing up a person or a situation, getting an idea of what's going on. There's acting up, and this is, I think, one of the most beautiful moves of the game because this game is so heavy in sexism. And the idea is these women are not supposed to really do anything. They're not supposed to get their way. They're not supposed to express themselves as women. They're not supposed to express themselves as soldiers. They're really caught in this situation where if they just followed expectations, it would be impossible. So whenever you're kind of bucking against anything, you act up. And there's three ways to do it. You can either act as a hooligan, which is luck-based. You can act like a lady, which is guts-based. And the reason that's guts-based is it's scary to act as a woman in a military situation. So expressing, no, I am a woman, it is a very brave thing to do in this situation. And the third thing is to act like a natural-born Soviet airwoman, which is what you are, but what no one wants to admit that you are. And that takes medals. Basically, the medals you have there prove that no, you do command that respect. There is a softer move though that is really important called reach out, and that's when you really just be human to another character or another NPC, and that is another very important move. A move that comes up pretty frequently is scrounge. That's when you need to find something. Really, resources are tight in this game. So if you need something to fix one of your planes, if you need something to comfort someone, if you need something to make a deal, that's where scrounge comes into play. There's repair. Sometimes your planes get broken and the mechanics won't have time to fix the plane. So they're going to make you lose sleep to do it yourself. So that's where repair comes in. Other times your plane might land behind enemies' lines. And if you don't fix the plane, no one will. So that is an example of a skill-based role, is that repair. Scrounge was luck-based. And then there is Tempt Fate, which is it's a gut-based role. It's kind of a catch-all when you do something dangerous during the day. Tempt Fate also shows up at night. There's also a move in here for briefing. We'll get into that when that's actually time. It's not really a move that gets rolled. It's more of a move that says, okay, this is the procedure for doing it. Once we have the briefing, that's when we move into the night moves. So in the night moves, there are two roles that pilots play. They are either a wayfinder, which is responsible for navigating the squad to the basically to the mission location, and what angle, what direction they're coming in from, and all of that good stuff. And then there is the person who leads the attack run, and they're basically the ones who basically determine when the bombs get dropped, what's getting targeted, and things like that. Anyone who's not filling one of those two roles, and by the way, only one person gets to do each of those roles, is what's called a Vedomaya, which is basically a wing woman. This is basically someone who is there to support. You're following the leader, and because you don't have that extra responsibility, you can potentially react once a mission to take on consequences for someone else. So it kind of allows you to say, no, I'm going to spread out this pain here. So maybe someone's about to take enemy fire and your luck is really good and theirs isn't. You could then say, no, I'll take that enemy fire instead. Which brings into a couple of the other things. So Tempt Fate also happens at night. If ever you're breaking from the mission procedure to do something in addition, that's probably going to be a Tempt Fate. We saw that pretty frequently. Maybe someone messed up the attack run, so someone else said, no, I'm going to take up the slack. So that would be a Tempt Fate. Maybe someone says, you know what, I'm going to try to do an extra run. That would be a Tempt Fate. One mission, you notice that the other squadron was getting attacked, said, hey, we're going to run interference. That was a Tempt Fate. There are also a couple of moves for when bad things happen during a mission. There's enemy fire, which is basically when the enemy is responding with deadly force. And it is a vicious, vicious move. There's also wheels down move, which is when you are trying to land when the plane is damaged. And finally, there's a procedure for debrief, which, again, like the briefing, is more of a procedural move rather than something that you roll. So that said, what I'd like you to do is to open up the book, the document that is, I believe it's the one that's labeled Playbooks. The one with all the moves is the Night Witch's Handout. The next one, the one that you're going to need right now, is the Playbooks. By the way, all of these documents are available on Jason Morningstar's website under Night Witches Downloads, I think, or something like that. So if you need to go directly from to the source, it's pretty easy to find. So sorry that I'm kind of just talking at you a lot. This is just making sure everyone's on the same pace. I know Bethany and Donna has been through this all before, but it's not a bad idea to just get that reminder. So the Playbooks, there are two things that, there are basically two parts of what determines who your character is. You have a nature and a role. The nature is what the playbook is. And those are all based on types of birds. So there's the sparrow, which, let me get into my physical copy of the book so I can read the descriptions well. Okay, so the different playbooks, the different natures, and this is at the heart of your character. This is why your character is an airwoman. So there's hawks, and hawks are decisive and tough, simultaneously showy and precise in their actions. They are also obsessive hunters who strike without warning. There's owls, who are quiet and observant. Owls are among the most contemplative birds. Unlike hawks, they are happy to watch and wait. Owls are solitary predators who feast on the bones of the weak. There's pigeons. Pigeons are gregarious and not afraid to get their feathers dirty. Resourceful and down to earth, they are also vaguely ridiculous and most comfortable in a crowd. There's ravens. Ravens are intelligent and curious and acquisitive. Acquisitive and confident. Unlike sparrows, they aren't afraid to make a scene. They also there are also carrion birds with a stubborn disregard for propriety. Sorry about that. And then there's sparrows. Graceful, unobtrusive, and discreet, sparrows tend to be everywhere and nowhere. They are also nervous, timid, and prone to flying away at the first sign of trouble. So, each of you get to choose what your true nature is as an airwoman. Now, Bethany and Dano, if you're bringing back your previous characters, you already have nature selected. There is no rule saying that we can't have repeats in nature, but I would recommend not doing too many repeats within the game. So, given that both Masha and Dasha are already different ones, Jim, go ahead and choose whichever nature sounds most interesting to you.
So it looks like we've got an owl and a raven at this point. So I am going to... with hawk, sparrow, and pigeon, right?
Yep. Now, so the other characters that are coming back, which feel free to have duplicates. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of that background noise again.
Air conditioner then.
We know that we're going to have a pigeon coming back at some point, and a sparrow coming back. But I think it's really only a problem if you have like 3 of the same nature all at the same time.
I'll be a hawk.
Okay, excellent.
Hawk it up. There we go. Oh, cool. Then it puts it all right in there. There we go.
Yep. Nope, it's this was a really cool character keeper that was provided. Someone else made it for the Gauntlet. Yeah. That basically you take your character, you create your character on the player tab, and it automatically feeds it on the summary. So I get to see everyone at the same time, and you can look at your character, and it's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
Later on, I'm going to go ahead and start labeling your character tabs, but we can worry about that later. So yeah, now in addition to having a nature, there's also a role that you have within the squadron. Now this role will change throughout the game. It actually can change in between mission bases. So whatever you choose for your role is going to be your role for this entire run. But the next time I run this, if you come back, your role can change. So it's a slow change, which means that this time, Bethany and Dano, you get to change Dasha and Masha's roles from what they were the last time around. And we discussed this a little bit at the conclusion of the last game of where you think your character is heading. But it's been several months. You've had a chance to think about it or forget about what's going on. So think about what your role is. As far as competing roles, again, it is just fine to have duplicates in roles. It is bad if everyone is the same role, but if 2 people are leaders, it's interesting because then the leaders keep butting heads. So some competition is good, is just fine as long as it's not, as long as the whole squadron isn't a one note, isn't one note on that.
Do you guys know what you have, or?
For roles, yeah, it's, I'm switching to protector, I think.
Ooh.
I think from what I remember last time, that was the role I had been thinking of. So maybe I'll stick to being a misanthropic so-and-so.
I don't know. it could be possible.
Yeah,
there are a lot of
well,
other.
I was
More than one protector.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the fence about changing anyway, so maybe Masha changes for a while and then goes back into her old habits, right?
All right, I'm going to lean into my hawkness and be an adventurer.
Excellent. Now, each of those roles actually determine what kind of that definitive moment is for your character. And I believe it is on both the character sheet, but the character keeper, I think, does it easier for everyone. Yeah, so you notice once you fill out your role in it, it tells you basically what you're good at and what meaningful event will cause you to get an extra level up when we change duty stations. So, for instance, as an adventurer, you're adept at wheels down, and I'm going to have to double check exactly what that means. But it also means that when you change duty stations, if you've walked away from a crash at some point during that duty station, you get an additional level up. So again, that's not going to come into play until the end of the season, but it is a way to get an additional level up is to crash a plane. And we learned last time there's no consequences for crashing planes, right?
Ever.
I'm going through and looking real quick.
If I remember right, you pick one less drawback on a 7 to 9.
That's right. You were an adventurer last time.
I was, and I never used that because I also had a move that was good for wheels down, and I always used it.
And we also had the squadron commander never putting you in the pilot seat.
Yeah.
That was really
you ruined that by just saying you wanted to fly. I mean, that's what happened there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure we all really love Hannah, but sometimes she was not the nicest commander.
So, Jim, in addition to choosing your roles, you also have to choose your starting rank. 26. If that wasn't the page I was looking for. I'm just looking up the part where it does tells you what your rank versus stats are. Unlike last time where I read the book twice right before I did this time I didn't have the chance to, so I apologize if I don't have everything memorized, or at least how to find it easily memorized. Roles, marks, death, advances, mission pool, moves. Here we go. Setup. Choose a GM. Make character 74. Okay, so if you start as a sergeant, your stats will add up to a +1. If you start off as a junior lieutenant, your stats will start off as a 0. That is not including medals. You can't start by medals will start at a flat 0.
I'm new, so I think I'm just going to come in as a sergeant.
Okay. Now, you are going to have some advances that you're going to start off with, so don't feel like you're going to be completely lagged behind.
I'm not super worried about it.
Hey, I just got a message from Noella. She thought it was at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm like, no.
So okay.
Okay, so Noella is not going to be able to make it. Okay. So, Jim, it looks like you've got your stats down and a name and everything. So let's do character introductions real quick. This is, you don't need to have very specific idea of what your character is like yet, just what you know right now.
Would you like me to start?
Let's do the reverse order so you have a little bit more time to hear from the rest, and start with Masha. No. Yeah, I mislabeled Bethany's. Masha and Dasha, so confusing.
Nothing. Some things never change, right, David?
I was almost Sasha, but then I realized. Then I heard you say that, and I'm like, I better pick a different name. So yeah.
So close.
Yeah.
So close.
Like I was like, I thought about it for a second, but no, I didn't want to do that to you.
It's still better than the game where everyone was named Ryan.
Sorry, will I go with Masha so first, David?
What was that?
Will I go first with my intro? Okay. So Masha Gerasimova is a sergeant. She has a bit of a reputation around the squadron and the regiment for, I guess, kicking against the pricks. She doesn't like people. She especially doesn't like our vulture of an NKVD major. I mean, who does? But no one else kicked them in the balls. That's what I'll say. She is not very good at the technical aspects of flying, but is lucky and has a lot of guts, and now is festooned with medals. One of them is for shooting down a Focke-Wulf, the yellowtail who was harassing our squadron at the last duty station. And the other one, I can't remember. But
it was probably the rescue attempt that you did.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There was a few things that I...
Yeah, that's right. You shot down Yellowtail by borrowing the Gatling gun. Or it wasn't a Gatling gun, but it was a machine gun.
A machine gun from an infantry unit.
Yeah.
And the other one might have been for leading a spectacularly successful attack run. I can't remember.
I think it was actually Didn't you do something like big on that mission to where you guys broke from the mission protocol to save the fighter wing?
Yeah, but I did not lead that terrible decision. I was
It was a
screaming from the
great
back seat,
decision.
going, "Let's not do this! It's a terrible idea. We're all going to die," and we nearly did. But anyway, yeah, I guess Masha does not brag about her medals, but she still has to, as per regulations, sew them onto her uniform, like the ribbons, not the medals themselves, obviously. So yeah.
But everyone knows you have those medals.
Yeah. Anything else that's worth mentioning?
What is your rank?
Oh, I'm a sergeant.
Okay. Dasha.
Yeah. So Dasha is the owl, which is seems like she should be a hawk, but she's not. Let's see.
I think she makes a good.
She is. Yeah, that was a deliberate choice. I didn't want to be a one-note character. She kind of has a reputation for being very daring and reckless. A partially earned reputation. Let's see. She's a sergeant. Is kind of the opposite of Masha. Is actually pretty good at the technical parts, but not super lucky, and not good at getting away with things. Basically, Dasha is much better at the night moves than the day moves.
Excellent. And Oksana.
Oksana. I'm Sergeant Oksana Boykova. I'm a hawk with the adventure. I am from Collective Farm number 505 in the Ukraine. I am like button down regulation, spit polish, like I wash my plane type. This is an opportunity for me as someone who is from the Ukraine. Like, the only way to get any respect in the Soviet, in the Supreme Soviet, if you are from the Ukraine, is to work twice as hard as a native Russian, as you need to prove that you're twice as Russian as any Russian is. And so that is my, this is my ticket out of being on a farm where, Stalin has been systematically starving my family and everyone I know for the last couple of decades.
Would it be decades?
What's that?
Would it be decades?
Like, the revolution was what, 1919, something like that. It was. I mean, we're in the 40s, so.
I mean, I thought Stalin came into power not long before World War II.
Well, whatever. I don't think that So the Russians have been treating the Ukraine badly for centuries.
Okay,
the Soviets
that's true.
have been treating it badly for however long the Soviets have been in charge.
That's
but
fair.
It's I feel like that's like whether it's the Tsar or the Supreme Soviet, it is not easy to be Ukrainian in a world full of Russians. So, and I write to my baby sister Valia back on the farm, who imagines me who imagines me as a fighter pilot, though that is not what I am. But I nonetheless I am here to be a good soldier.
Excellent. So next I have some questions for everyone. Now, the previous people, I'm still going to ask you these some starting questions, and your answers may have changed. I'm going to try not to ask these same questions as I did before, but I don't necessarily remember which ones I asked you before. But the idea is we're going to answer these questions as you are coming into the season, as opposed to who your character was initially. So let's start with. Oh, and the other important thing is it's been several weeks since the last mission. So there are things that could have changed between now and then. So let's start with Dasha. When were you last disciplined by your squadron commander, and what was the reason?
That was like probably last week. And it was for, what did I do? I think it was a fairly minor infraction, but it was at a bad time. Don't know, what was I for? I think I just didn't show up to something. I was somewhere I was supposed to be, and I forgot that. Oh, we have to do this before we fly tonight, and I did not do that.
Ooh, maybe you missed a briefing that you weren't you didn't realize that you were gonna be you were chosen to be squadron commander for that mission, and you didn't show up to the pre-briefing. Yeah.
It's like, oh well, I'm never needed for those things, and I didn't go. That actually makes perfect sense.
Excellent. Masha, last time we actually never learned that you lied about something on your regimental intake form. What was that?
I ticked the box that said I had flown before. But I never had, so that's why I'm probably the worst pilot in the whole regiment, right? That's why I'm so keen to avoid.
That is one hell of a lie.
I don't. Did I ask you that before? Was that what you answered?
No.
Excellent. No, I remember. I asked you what you preferred, pilot or navigator, and you said
I was navigator. Now we know why.
Askana, what do you prefer, pilot or navigator, and why?
Pilot, because I actually flew crop dusters at the farm with my father.
High five! That's how I learned to fly too.
he would let me fly.
That is a pretty common experience among airwomen.
Sure, me too.
That's what you said when they asked how you learned to fly.
Crop dusters.
I heard the previous applicant, talking about it during the interview.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I think that's we had crop dusters on. We had like a single rickety crop duster on the farm. You know, that my dad was mechanic and pilot, and you know, but the fact that he could do that and was maybe had done some flying in World War One, and that he that we got enough to eat. So.
Okay, excellent. So Askana,
I'm you know what? I am gonna be that guy. It's Oksana. Okay.
Oksana.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Look, I'm going to give everyone permission, including myself, to mispronounce names.
Okay.
Because none of us are, well, I'm not fluent in Russian. I don't expect you guys to be. It is in the rules that it's okay to get things wrong in this game.
Sure. But my name is Oksana.
Oksana.
So there we go. All right.
So Oksana, in what ways do you dress like a woman?
You mean civilian-wise, or like when I'm in uniform?
Well, you are expected to be in uniform at all times.
Got it.
However, you're still a woman, so.
Oh, okay, sure. One of the ways is lipstick. I try to always make sure I have lipstick on.
Oh, that's definitely not in the uniform code.
So that is a like that's and I know, and that's like a Western affectation and all that kind of stuff and everything. But what I have found is that it actually keeps when I am up flying, it keeps my lips from getting all chapped up and like ripped to shreds and stuff like that. And so that is my dad used to just smear Vaseline or whatever, on his lips, but I like to have lipstick. That is the way in which I dress like a woman, I think.
Excellent. Dasha, when has your sexuality gotten you in trouble?
All of last season.
Oh, no one's found out about that yet.
That's right. One other character did, and that's actually someone who's not here this session. So, yeah, it hasn't directly gotten me in trouble. It's definitely caused me a lot of stress, and having to keeping this secret is kind of it's difficult. I don't think I'm terribly good at relationships or secrets, and having a secret relationship is a little bit that's a lot.
And who was your relationship with again?
Sergeant Morova, the section mechanic.
Yeah, the very cranky section mechanic.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, some people drink to, blow off stress. She just yells and cusses a lot. It's fine. It's nothing personal.
Masha, in what ways do you dress or look like a man?
I think Masha wears a very kind of practical flyers style uniform. Maybe she has taken some tips from Evgenia, who flies with men, who's flown for quite a while. So it's just the cut of the uniform is quite masculine. She's just interested in the practicality of how it works in the cockpit and nothing else.
And they're not very flattering.
Maybe she's the only one who hasn't altered her uniform to fit.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Well, just, I mean, the simple difference of wearing a belt or not, like, makes a big difference.
So, Masha, who in the regiment evokes the strongest feelings from you and why?
I think well, so at the last mission of our last duty station, I had to choose between the lives of Hannah and Valia, right? I had one bucket of water and they were both on fire, and I chose Hannah. So I think it's every little thing about Valia that I notice on base tears me apart. Like her bunk bed, her plane, every kind of minor detail that we can't get rid of because it's the regiment's property, right?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember who Valia is. Terrible.
I remember the one I got. I accidentally got the NKVD. Got suspicion on her from them, and they like took her away, questioned her. That's that one.
Didn't she get shot? Or no, that was someone else who got shot.
Yeah.
That was someone else. She just returned to duty a bit of a wreck.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. It was the person who is Hana's competition. Valentina.
Oh, that's right.
No, Junior wants to be.
I think that's right.
Didn't she? Oh, she did burn to death. So it's the memory of Valentina is evoking strong emotions.
Yeah, although if you want to, if it's more interesting to tie it to someone who's still around, then it's the reverse with Hannah, right? Maybe I can't really stand to be around her anymore, even though we had that kind of brief session of friendship, because it reminds me of who died.
Oh no, I can work with the ghost of Valentina.
Okay.
Just constant reminders of the decision you made.
Yeah,
We can share the guilt. I made the last week of her life miserable, and then you let her die. Jeez.
Yeah.
My God, I forgot how terrible I was to her.
Yeah.
Oh, that was she was pretty brutalized. Okay. Oh yeah, this is definitely got to go for Dasha. When we search your footlocker, what surprising thing do we find?
Something surprising. God, I don't know. Something my brother gave me. I don't. Something small. Maybe like a pocket watch or something. I wasn't close to my brother, but this is kind of the only thing I have of his.
Okay. Oksana. Whose picture is taped to your plane's dash?
Second here. Amelia Earhart.
And And what do your fellow airwomen have to say about you having a picture of an American?
I think she was kind of an international icon to some extent. I can't imagine that there aren't, like, my hunch is that it is probably fiercely divided. That there are like a contingent of them that think that it's, you know, like just openly treasonous to have an American on my plane, and another contingent that recognizes that like that's the competition. You know what I mean? It's like having a picture of the person that you want to beat there to remind you that is what you are, like the bar that they have set that you always need to be exceeding. That's how I frame it to people. I'm smart enough not to talk about how much I admire her, but to say, I have that there to remind me that I always need to be better than her.
Okay. To Oksana again. What did you do when your first flight instructor failed you because you were a woman?
I reported him. I documented the way in which he failed to fulfill the official curriculum for the flight school, and went down the, you know, just like I kept track of what we were supposed to learn. Wrote down, documented like what he didn't teach us that he was supposed to. And presented it to my superiors, and let the system do what it was supposed to.
Okay, and how did you feel when you learned a month later he died of exposure in Siberia?
Satisfied that the system worked the way it was supposed to.
Ouch! Oh, harsh.
Him not doing his job meant that there was going to be that we were at risk of being killed by fascists, and like training us to kill fascists is one of the most important jobs in the Army, and training us properly is more important than us executing properly.
Okay. No, that gives me delicious ammunition. So let's see, we're to Dasha. No, this is a good one for Dasha because I don't think we've seen this from her yet. What happened the last time a crowd of brother airmen wolf whistled in your direction?
I ignored them and kept walking. I really wanted to like emulate Masha, but I do not have her skill at getting away with things, so just kept my head down and pretended I didn't hear it.
Okay. Masha, what would you be doing if you weren't flying?
Stamping parts for the production of artillery guns back in the factory in Chelyabinsk, which is what I was doing before I joined up.
You really hate working in that factory?
You have no idea.
Okay. Is okay, yeah. I'm going to change this question a little bit because I know a lot of the answer already, and I think it's a great one to follow up on. Why does the NKVD already have a file on you? And how have you avoided getting kicked out of the regiment because of it?
Who's that directed at?
That's Tamasha again. If you haven't noticed, I've been snaking the questions.
Well, I guess we know that that one particular NKVD officer has it in for me. Why haven't I been drummed out of the regiment? I've got medals. You know, the bling talks to the brass. You know, you got to have a strong case if you're bringing something against someone with, you know, what is it? The Medal of Battle Merit and the Order of Glory, right? Yeah, I guess usually a personal beef is enough to get you in a bad spot, but I've been glorious enough in this patriotic war to rise above that for now.
That was Major Usulov. You know, why does Major Usulov, what started Major Usulov hating you?
Oh, he catcalled me and I kicked him in the balls.
Yes.
That's where it started.
Oh, I remember that. I just wanted to make sure everyone else did. Because he sure as hell remembers that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just to let Oksana know, I did not know he was an NKVD officer at the time. He was incognito. I'm not that stupid, usually.
Just adding notes to the character. Okay. So, Dasha, what did I ask you last time? That's right. So, Dasha, again, I'm going to change this question a little bit based on what we learned last time. Were your cousins actually guilty?
They weren't guilty of any sort of like conspiracy. They were guilty of like helping, you know, fence smuggled goods. So like they were doing something illegal, but nothing like what they were suspected of doing.
Okay, so we've learned that she is not actually related to any Tsarists.
No. Was not raised by Tsarists. Just smugglers. Totally cool.
Both of these are good. Oksana, what does the Marxist-Leninist struggle against the forces of reaction mean to you personally?
Well, one thing it means is self-abnegation. like the temptations of the body lead directly to temptations of the mind and of the spirit. And so it requires work and discipline to resist those reactionary forces, and the way that they get to you is through your body. So you have to get that under control, and if you don't, then you are constantly you are in, like, it is constant danger. That it requires a constant eternal vigilance to resist those forces.
So you're kind of like on board of the eschewing of excess and things like that.
Well, yes, of course. Anything that's not part of anything that doesn't help us kill fascists, helps fascists kill us.
Okay. Yeah, you. There's totally not instances of high-ranking people, totally falling to excess and temptation. Never happens. Okay, and then the last part of this. Oksana, who do you know west of the Dnipro occupied territory since who do you know west of the Dnipro in occupied territory who's been silent since June of 41?
Am I just making somebody up here?
Yep.
I mean, that's in Ukraine, right?
So I am not great on my geography. This is in a territory that is currently controlled by Germany.
Which might well be. So what I'm gonna say is, my brother, who's a soldier, is now in that part of the Soviet Union that's occupied by Nazis. That's my older brother.
Was your brother part of the reason why you joined up?
No. I think he is like 15 years older than me. So like he was basically like gone off. He's been a soldier for a number of years and was gone off to the army like when I was just a little girl.
Okay.
I've probably only like I know him mostly through letters.
So he kind of like heard the patriotic call at the young days of the Soviet Union, maybe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna say his name is Evgeny.
Okay.
Evgeny Boykova.
So, Dasha, you've had a bit of time to interact with the 586 Fighter Regiment. That is the mixed gender regiment. I believe you guys are either the 587 or 588. I can't remember which. But you've had a chance to interact more with that with your sister regiment that is the media darlings. Who have you gotten to know there, and how do you feel about her?
I had a friend there who died, but like more recently, I should get the name list out, shouldn't I?
Yes, there is a Russian name list in the handout document.
That's what it is. It's not the playlist, the playbooks.
I believe it's towards the end.
One that hasn't been used yet. Anna those are, here we go, last names. Anna Grishina. And she is the yeah, like this is the regiment everybody wants to be in, but she's kind of like at the bottom of that regiment, and like is like if they were going to kick somebody out, it would be her.
Are you trying to take her spot? Hoping that she burns out or she washes out and that you can transfer into there?
No, but she worries that I am.
So then Anna is kind of catty towards you because she thinks that you're going to try to get her to wash out.
Right. And actually, I'm not trying to, but I cannot convince her of that. I've told her several times. She does not believe me.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of rivalry there. And ooh, which one am I going to ask Masha of? So Masha, who do you know in the 4th Army Logistics and Supply Commissariat, and what favor do you owe them?
Let's see. I know a guy called Alexei. What favor? I guess he may have supplied us with less than crappy compasses. Maybe there was some surplus that he got his hands on for us. And I think on this duty station, we're flying over water a lot. So they're probably more important than usual if we don't have great landmarks. So yeah, I owe him one for that.
It sounds like Alexei never let you know his last name and rank. So, no, I like this. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll do you a favor, but I can't get back to me. So tell you what, I'll find you when I need it paid off.
Okay. Well, I know his rank, right? Because he's wearing a uniform, unless it's an after hours club or something like that. But I imagine he's wearing a uniform no matter what.
I think when you met with him, like he covered up all signs of his name and rank. Like he's being very shadowy and secretive about this. A little intrigue in with this. Also, it prevents you from having to come up with a name and rank right now. Make it a little bit easier on us. Okay, excellent. Well, this isn't something I did last time, but I think it's a good opportunity, especially because we have a mix of old characters and new characters. I'm going to give each of you a chance to ask one of your fellow ask each of your fellow airwomen one question to help flesh each other out and get a better idea of who each other are.
You don't mind, I might go first. I think I've got one for Oksana.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if Oksana would have helped Masha with her obvious lack of comfort in on the stick piloting, or is that maybe something you noticed yourself and came to her to help her?
Having explicitly been through that that sequence of having been poorly trained myself, I think I would default to the presumption that you were poorly trained, and that like all you would need to do is exhibit like the slightest like hint of genuine enthusiasm for wanting to do your job well, and I would happily like, you know, stay up late to help you train and, you know, work with you to make you a better navigator.
A better pilot?
Oh, are you a pilot? Sorry, I thought.
Well, no, but I mean, based on command, we may end up being in either role despite our actual actual skill.
Yeah.
Oh, so I misunderstood what you were saying. If it's clear that you couldn't fly a plane, I would not allow you to fly a plane.
No, I mean, I can fly. I have flown.
Okay.
But I'm just not very
What
good.
is how many fingers times you've flown?
So I think part of the problem here is that you frame the question as kind of a hypothetical. What would you?
Yeah.
If you can can you nail it down? Like to a specific incident or something like that.
Yeah. So let's say on, you know, when Oksana comes into the unit, if she hasn't been there for the length and we just haven't seen her, it's obvious that she is shit hot on the stick.
Yeah.
And I think Masha, while we wouldn't say she will ask anyone for help enthusiastically, will mention that she thinks she might be able to benefit from a little bit of tutelage, even if it's not taking her up in the air.
Yeah. So I think that, so then what that looks like is you say I would benefit from some tutelage, and I would like pull out a map and ask you to find me a couple of things on it. And if you can like demonstrate basic ability as a navigator, I would say, if you wish, you can fly with me and I will, and we will learn together.
Sure. I mean, and I think what you'll notice, right, is that navigation, wayfinding usually works off the stat skill, but I've taken the ability from the Raven playbook that allows me to cheat and use luck. So I guess the technical details she's not so hot on, but she always finds the target, right?
Then that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Does that satisfy you? Like that I absolutely would be willing to help and not and I don't seem like put out or upset that you haven't learned how to do this yet.
Mm-hmm. Jim, just something I want to make sure is clear about the game is these women are supposed to be trained to both navigate and fly and switch off between those two roles. However, individuals assign people's roles for each mission. So there are some women who just by happenstance always end up flying or always end up as navigator. So it's not actually assigned in their position in the army.
So then I think that you know then that conversation is essentially, if you sit in the back seat, I'll teach you to be as good a pilot as I am.
Cool.
Let's hope you two get assigned to the same plane. Okay. Masha, do you have any questions for Dasha?
Here's one. I guess I have had dealings on and off with Mirova. You know, we have done some kind of dealings with regard to alcohol in return for services on occasion, more than a couple of times, I think. Have I discovered, or has Dasha let Masha know of your relationship with her?
I feel like she hasn't said anything directly. But Masha's pretty perceptive, right? Like, so I think I'll let you decide that one. But I think there's no reason you couldn't know.
Since eyeball is run-off skill, I'm going to go with I haven't noticed it, even though it's blatantly obvious.
I totally
Or it should be
think
blatantly
you know. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
okay with me. Like, you're one of the few people I trust with this information. I just haven't like directly told you because I think you know.
Yeah. I mean, only an idiot would not have gotten those hints, but I'm oblivious. Okay, cool. And obviously, I would never ask because
Right. Yep. You would never ask directly. I would never tell you directly. I just assume that you like have figured it out.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. And so then, Dasha, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question for Oksana. So you're very by the book. When you show up with these people who they follow all of the big regulations, but there's a lot of like small, minor, inconsequential things that they're like, no, I'll let that slide. How do you react to that?
Passive aggressively, I think is the answer. Like, my bed is always perfectly made. My Foot Locker is where it's supposed to be. My uniform is the right way. I will offer suggestions. And if anybody actually comes to me, I think the other thing is that I lack a sense of irony. And so if you come to me with like an obviously like stupid question just to like get a laugh from the other girls, I do not understand that that's what's happening. Does that follow?
Yeah, so you're like showing all of us up, but do you know that's what you're doing, or
in what sense? What do you mean? Do I know
that? Do you know that you're making the rest of us look bad, or is it just like you're?
I don't. You are the masters of your own fate. I am not making you look bad. You are making you look bad. You are choosing. You're choosing to look bad. If that's what happened.
Got it.
So, at the end of the day, Oksana makes the rest of the squadron look bad for following regulations, but thinks she's doing nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's no thinks. I'm not actually doing anything wrong.
She's doing it right. The rest of us are doing it wrong.
I'm also providing an example. So hopefully that will serve as inspiration for these other airwomen. So I got questions for each of you. And so I'm gonna say my question for Dasha is what have I heard you saying in your sleep?
Wow. I could go the obvious direction here, but I don't think I will.
Let me make it more pointed. What cryptic thing have I heard you saying in your sleep?
You heard me apologizing to someone.
Oh, man, that's great. Okay.
You don't, like, there's no name.
Yeah. That's fantastic. and Masha, what did you ask me for in exchange for getting me a new tube of lipstick?
I think my silk scarf that I use to kind of protect myself, my kind of chest and neck area from the cold, is getting really old and frayed, and so I think we swapped because you had a nice fresh one.
That's fantastic. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
I had a question for Masha. I had I guess kind of following from something from season 1. What do you want to do if you survive the war?
I think we might have made a stupidly ambitious plan to drink cocktails in Berlin. But like after that, I have no idea. I don't think Masha is really thinking that far ahead. Like the only natural thing for her to assume she'll end up doing is back in the factory, and she doesn't want that, and so she doesn't think that far ahead. So let's say cocktails in Berlin.
And Dasha, do you have a question for Oksana?
I already asked it.
Oh, that's right. You the making the rest of the squad look bad. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we will answer the questions about the unit and the current mission base and go over that information, and then fly a quick mission just to set up the next session and take things from there.
Awesome.
Okay. So earlier I said a couple of weeks have passed. It turns out I was wrong. But I'm going to read you the overviews for the current duty station, which is Pashkovskaya, which I am sure I pronounced wrong. I just want to check, Jim, you turned off your camera. Are you still here? Okay, excellent. Just want to make sure I didn't lose you. So the regiment has moved west and south into the warm southern maritime region dominated by the Kerch Strait. Now you are occasionally flying over water for the first time. Targets are heavily defended by anti-aircraft artillery, aided by spotlights and supplemented by occasional fighter cover. The Germans are slowly learning how to defeat the PO-2, which is the planes you're flying, using the FW-190 fighters at dusk and dawn, which are the German planes. So still don't know how to address you coming in at night where they can't hear or see you, but they're starting to figure out that if they can hit you while there's still some light in the sky, they're starting to figure out how to maneuver those way too fast planes to shoot you down. The theater overview. The northern portion of the tactical area consists of marshes, bottomlands, and vast swaths of arable land, much of it now fallow. The southern portion consists of rough country covered in deep forests rising into the hills and even mountainous terrain. The maritime climate is temperate and very wet. The Cuban River is the dominant waterway, stretching inland to Krasnodar and beyond. German troops can appear anywhere in the tactical area. Navigators look for newly cultivated fields in the north, patterns of small lakes, and unusual forest landmarks, and bald hillsides in the south as waypoints. So mostly this just gives you an idea of the terrain, rather than dealing with cold and barren versus wheat fields. We're dealing with much more wooded areas. It's a lot wetter. I'm not going to call it warm, but it's a lot warmer than where you've been. So probably wearing lighter clothes during the day. Still cold in the airplanes at night, mostly because of altitude. But definitely going to be a lot of issues with everything being perpetually wet. 6 months have passed from a hastily converted civilian airfield here in Pashkovskaya. You are supported by the Black Sea Fleet in the battle for the Caucasus. The Germans are pushing hard, but you are pushing harder. You're sharing the field with the celebrated and all-male 218th Fighter Regiment, who have requisitioned everything of utility or value, leaving you with the scraps. So now you're actually sharing an airfield with a bunch of men, and men who get everything, leaving you with nothing. I'm going to skip the logistical overview because So next, the questions. Oh, this is too easy to ask Masha, so I'm going to ask Oksana, because she's the true believer here. What completely unreasonable demand has been made of the regiment?
The completely unreasonable demand that has been made of us is that we entertain the men from the other from the other unit.
That is, and I'm sure entertain is put in ambiguous quotation marks. Just taking notes on the section info about these answers. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be one for Masha. When is Lieutenant General Igor Moroshenchenko, commander of the 4th Air Army, arriving for inspection? I do not believe that this is the general who. Oh no, this is
not
the
our favorite general.
This is the general who potentially likes you guys.
20 minutes.
I'm not going to do it for the first session. So, are you saying like if you want to like
so maybe
deadline, like maybe the morning you're getting back from this bombing run?
Yeah. I guess he's going to be arriving at dawn tomorrow, right?
Imminently, I think, is the answer that we're looking for. That's
Wow. Better hope this mission goes well. Oh, wait a second. You don't have any mission pool. Wah wah. That is something that we haven't discussed yet in the rules, but mission pool is very, very important in this game because the roles and stats are pretty brutal. Mission pool is how you build up basically pluses to add to whatever roles you need to in order to avoid misses and bad consequences during missions. However, if you're wasteful for the mission pool, it can get noticed, and that could trigger bad stuff. Or if you fail the mission, that can trigger bad attention. So, congratulations. We still need to do Jim's level ups, but we'll finish doing this first. So next we are to Dasha. What steps have been taken to keep the regiment efficient in such close quarters with her brothers in the 218th?
We've totally been given like two contradicting, orders here. We're supposed to, we're not supposed to talk to like them without, there's never supposed to be like a one-on-one conversation with them. Like there always has to be at least one from our regiment, at least one from their, or at least two from our regiment, at least two from their regiment. So I guess not contradicting after
all. My guess is these are orders from your regiment. They're probably came from Bershanskaya, and like all of her staff just reinforced this. Do not fraternize with the 218th. Never be alone with them. Debating how I want to do these last two. Yeah, let's sneak it. So Dasha, what does the shared military airfield at Beshkovskaya look like? Where are the overcrowded women's barrack tents shared with the 586? So the 586 is here too. And where are the spacious huts for the 218th? What are the motor repair hard stands, the armored bunker, and the command tent? So obviously we'll do this one at a time. And we're going to have Dasha do the general thing and have Askana and Masha help out with some of those details.
Yeah, our tents are like right near the airstrip. Where it's just like super loud all the time. because like the fighter regiment, they fly during the day, we fly at night. It's there's just always planes taking off and landing. So sleeping is kind of hard, especially if you're living in a tent. Let's see. It's always
now when
muddy.
it says tent, it's big like pavilion style tent.
Right, but there's still like
they're not
it
solid
doesn't muffle
walls.
noise. Right. Yes.
I
so
think I think we literally have to share beds. That like my bed is my bed during the day, and it's a mechanic's bed at night.
Ooh.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. You don't even get like your own bunk.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to like, if there's overlap, you have to be like, just move over. I'm really tired.
Hot bunking is bad for morale, but maybe you're sharing it with a favorite mechanic, Dasher.
Let's see. Somebody else wants to contribute something. Okay.
Are we, for the male regiment? Maybe they have their tents are quite a way away from the airfield. Maybe some dry ground. I mean, it means they have a bit to walk to their planes, but they're.
Why do you say tents when they have cabins?
Oh, right. Okay. That seemed really, not fitting for the Soviet struggle. But yeah, we'll say there was some kind of holiday camp here before, or maybe some chalets.
That's the worst. Yeah, that they have like actual. Yeah, I kind of love the idea that they're actually in buildings while we're in tents.
Yeah. But we're near the Black Sea, right? So maybe there were holiday cabins here.
Oh yeah, man! It used to be like somebody's villa or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, little like it's summer DACA kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're literally bunking in evacuees' villas.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're vacation houses.
I mean, like we had enough reason to hate these guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, and I think they're constantly tempting them, like, "Oh, you want to get you want to have a real bath? We'll come to the villas." And like everyone in the regiment, do not go with the 218th.
Yeah. We have real showers. You should come see us. Yeah.
Come on, we'll make you a nice meal. Do not go to the 218th's villas.
Yeah. Also, it's super muddy all the time because it rains a lot. So it's just like even walking is slower than it should be because the mud sucks at your feet. Just it's not cold anymore, so that's nice. But instead, we have this mud to contend with.
Is it like this sort of wet where nothing is ever dry? It's just damp.
Yes, exactly like that. Like actually, like it is in my house right at the moment. Yeah. Think Southeast United States in the summer. Never quite dries out.
I mean, we'd like to say Ireland all year round.
Yeah.
What about some of the more utilitarian things, like the motor repair handstands, the armorer's bunker, the command tent? What are those like?
Well, this is the last one was kind of just a jury-rigged airfield. So maybe this is a real airfield from before. And so these are, real concrete buildings or whatever that were built, 5 or 10 years ago when the Soviet Air Force was getting built from the ground up. So they are proper. We're not putting all of our bombs in like a tent like we did at the last place.
Yeah, this is a civilian airfield that was converted, but definitely like it was real, like an actually planned airfield.
Yeah.
But there've definitely been like kind of hastily added on sections of the hangar that are
Yeah, I think like there's probably like a single hangar that used to have a few prop planes in it that we can't actually keep planes in now because they keep all the like that's where all the munitions are stored. Like the only place with an actual like a large building with a roof over it is where we keep all the stuff that, you know,
the stuff that can't get wet.
That can't get wet. Yeah, the only dry place is where the bombs are.
So does that mean the planes are kept under tarps then to keep them dry?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think tarps.
Kind of like a big sort of a tent rigged up, you know, but it's like sags in the middle every time it rains, and you have to duck under it, and like
Excellent. And then Masha, what object just beyond the perimeter is a stark reminder of the war's cost?
I think we're pretty much near the front line here, right? So, but a stark reminder of the cost. Maybe there's some Russian or some kind of settlement that's, you know, just 100 yards west of the airfield that was completely burnt out. And, you know, there's a mass grave there where all the inhabitants were executed by the Germans. And I guess if you walk there, you can't help but notice, you know, the way the ground is, and everyone imagines they can smell the lime that was put down.
So this is a football field away.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we have a good idea of that. We also need to create a couple of more airwomen to fill out the squadron. But before we do that, Askana, Dasha and Masha have had some experience. You came a bit later into the war, but you do have some training and you do have some experience flying. So you get a couple of things. You're going to start with a regard slot, and the way that works is, you notice there's 4 slots. There's I blank blank the most, and it's going to be a kind of an emotional verb like fear, love, trust, hate, and then a person's name or a plane's name. Shit. Before we do regard, we need to do the planes. Actually, let's do the rest of the squadron and the planes before we do Jim's level ups. So, last run, we had 3 planes and one of them was wrecked. Or 4 planes and one of them was wrecked. The nice thing about this is you did have a chance to get resupplied. So let's figure out what these 4 planes are. So starting with Jim, what's the tail number of the first plane?
The tail number, it is. Is there a standard for how this gets? Like is there a standard regulation, or do we just put a number on it?
Just put a number on it. The planes we had last time that were still flying were 51, 256, and 281.
38.
Okay. And what's the personality of this plane?
This plane, this plane is like a heavy boulder that you roll downhill. So it is hard to get going and requires a lot of effort to like get it moving and get it up in the air. But once it's up and rolling, it is it thunders right along and can be hard to control, but it is also hard to stop.
So kind of like sluggish, but barrels through.
Yes, yep. Mm-hmm. Takes a while to warm up, I think, is kind of.
Okay. So, Dasha, do we still have 51 the Humpback, or has it been replaced?
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
No, we still have it.
Still, so the second plane is still.
I think every
51
part of it
Humpback.
has been replaced at some point.
Well, how
we
many?
technically have the plane.
It started off as being a rebuilt plane.
It's been
Plus, you
rebuilt
can't
again.
get rid of that dog, right?
Yeah. Is it still wild?
It's even wilder now, I think.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask Jim. Does 38 have a nickname?
Yes, it's the boulder.
Okay, now I'm so tempted to do the Boulder voice from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Which in Russian is Valoon.
Balloon?
Yeah, transliterated, it's Valun. I mean, it sounds, it's like Valoon. Valn is actually, with that kind of n at the end, is actually how it's pronounced in Russian, but it's the boulder. We all call it the boulder.
Okay. Masha, do we still have 256, the lazy plane?
Yeah, this is my favorite plane of all time.
Is it still lazy?
Yeah. I mean, I think its really low stall speed is responsible for us taking down Yellowtail because he couldn't get a beat on us that time. So yeah.
All that and you having a machine gun.
Yeah. That's
Well,
what
you
to
know,
do with it.
A
Alex
little bit of
Lewis
column A, a little
was
bit of column B.
responsible for our nobody dying in the last session. No.
So, Oksana, the unit used to have this cursed plane that apparently Hannah, who you've only met in passing, you haven't really worked with her much, was really attached to, but everyone was afraid of this plane. It was supposed to be the reserve plane, but one of the planes got shot down, so Hannah just kept on flying that plane. Has the unit replaced the cursed plane, which was 281?
No, because that kind of that sort of superstition is reactionary thinking.
Okay. No one wanted to fill out the requisition form to replace it because this one is cursed.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's like I say, that is the kind of saying that a plane is cursed is saying that we haven't found a way to have mastery over it, and we're not going to do that.
Do the air women still say that plane's cursed?
Not to me.
So the story was
honestly, I think like maybe somebody said that once, and I like I got angry at that idea.
When you were going to be the navigator in that plane, somebody warned you, like, "Oh, navigators die in that plane," and you were like, "No, that's and like just laid into them probably.
Well, yes, navigators die in planes all the time.
Okay, but people still think the plane is cursed.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, I think that like and like I kind of like the idea that like they've tried to get rid of it and it won't go away, and like that's part of the curse.
Well, there's some other parts of the curse as well.
But the fact that it's like that it's killed all these navigators without itself being destroyed, that it just is, like I can see a whole story.
It's a lucky play
around that. Yeah.
Isn't that the one that's also haunted?
Yeah, I will say. So the rumor that they tried to tell you, but you didn't want to hear, is that the ghost of Sophia Larova haunts that plane, tormenting Hannah.
I roll.
This thing about the navigators dying is not true. I went up in that plane and did not die, so
Yeah, I'm sorry. What freaky thing happened to you instead in that plane? Has 256 or 281 picked up any nicknames?
I think 256 is I don't know what the Russian word for kite is, but I think that's it because it's slow and it just kind of like drifts along like a kite.
You don't need to translate everything into Russian.
Good point.
Please don't make us translate everything.
You have to say it right. Yeah, kite is good.
Has 281 picked up a nickname?
Is that the cursed plane?
Yeah.
They call it the Rusalka.
What does that mean?
A Rusalka is like an angry Russian female ghost. That.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I like normally more associated with water, but it's like an angry ghost that drags you to your death because it's jealous of your life.
Hey, her name is Sophia.
And she did not drown.
In her own blood, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Oh, wait. 2 navigators have died in that plane just like within 2 sessions. Jeez.
That plane was brutal. Okay. So we need to fill out the unit a little bit. Specifically the women in your squadron. Now there's going to be some transfers going on. Junior Lieutenant Cardina has officially become part of Squadron 1A. So she started as a fill-in and just never went away, and they finally just made it official. She's probably not so happy about it because she keeps on watching people die. Who else is now in the squadron? We are going to need 2 more.
I think we need a like 16-year-old, like completely wide-eyed, like ingenuous, like rookie.
So like a young idealist?
Yeah.
What's her name? Probably a sergeant, right?
What's that?
Probably a sergeant?
Yeah. She'd be a sergeant.
Didn't somebody's like little sister want to join last season?
Oh yeah,
that could be her.
Yes, thank you for reminding me.
Was that Iris?
Yeah.
Little sister?
Yes. So
And like,
young.
under no circumstances are you to join up. Courting disaster with the NKVD.
So that's Polina.
No, this was a character from the previous
Sorry.
run.
Does the sister have a name?
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah, I think that's awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna need to write this down because Russian spellings. Ryan's gonna be so pissed.
I mean, the way NPCs' careers go in this, you know, if she survives till Brian rejoins, that is.
No, I think that's gonna piss her off more if she doesn't survive.
Yeah. And it'll be Brian will be watching over the recording to find out who's responsible.
You guys are mean. I love it. So we need one more.
Do we? Maybe there is someone from that or sister regiment who did get kicked out instead of Dasha's friend or frenemy.
And she was invited. So someone washed out, and it was, and this person assumed that Dasha wanted the position that she ended up getting. Let's see, where was... All right, here it is. So, yeah. So, Sergeant Anna Grochina. Oh, I think Sergeant Grochina used to be in the 587 in a different squad, and that's why. So she transferred over to the 586. But let's figure out who the washout from the 586 was. I think it's going to be a
name. Yeah. Okay. So how about Yelena Filipova?
Please adjust my spelling if I did it wrong. And why did Filipova wash out?
She's Jewish. That's not like she was washed out because she's Jewish, because someone found out she was a Jew.
We haven't had to worry about that before. Okay, excellent. By the way, Dasha and Masha, you guys can redo your regards because that is something that you can do between duty stations. So, Oksana, you get to start off with a regard. And like I said earlier, it's an emotional verb followed by a person or a plane. And it's the person that you feel the most that way about. And the way regard works is anytime you roll in which you are rolling for the benefit of or against that the person with that regard, you add +1. It's only going to be a maximum of single +1 from regard that you can get. The way it works for planes, though, is if you have regard with a plane, you get +1 to any roll you make while in that plane. So that's how people get favorite. That's not the only way people get favorite planes, but that's kind of a mechanic, a way to mechanize having a favorite plane.
Okay, so for my regard, I resent Rusalka the most.
Oh, that is beautiful.
I deeply resent that plane for the ridiculous hold it has on the regiment.
Okay. Dasha and Masha, who do you have regard for? And how many regard slots do you have? Because there's the one that you started off with, and then I don't remember if either of you unlocked more regard slots.
I did.
Yeah, I unlocked one as well.
I'm not sure of the verb. I definitely have one with Masha. I don't know if admire might be the right word.
Well, especially if you admire her for standing up for herself and the regiment.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. Like, I'm brave in the air, Masha's brave on the ground.
Yeah, that could be an admire.
Admires.
And Bethany, you said you had two?
Yeah. I want to have one with Oksana. Resent is probably close to it.
No, that works. And remember, it is possible to change these between sessions.
Yeah, I don't think resent isn't quite right, but it's I watch myself around her. I don't trust her.
I think
it's not like overt. It's not anything overt, and it's not anger like resentment. It's just I treat her the way I would a stranger.
I think that works for resentment, especially if you are on guard around her and not with anyone else in the unit.
Yeah,
that does breed resentment.
Yeah,
so
distrust is fine too. Distrust.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, that also works. Masha, what's your regard?
I am putting one regard slot to 256. My lovely Kite. I trust Kite the most. And my other regard slot is going to Dasha, who I respect the most.
Excellent. Okay, everyone's a sergeant except for there's two NPC junior lieutenants who are supposed to be section commanders. This is going to be an interesting briefing. In any case, we need to get Oksana back up to speed. So one of the things that happened during training is you unlocked a regard slot. Another thing that you are going to get is you are going to unlock one of your moves. So the sheet should automatically give you the options, plus you can go into the playbook sections. So why don't you pick which move you'd like to unlock?
I am taking my favorite move on the sheet, which is 11.4 meters tip to tip.
Excellent.
Just a mechanical note on that. I had that in Adventurer last time, and it kind of uh,
go
it's kind
against
of
each other.
redundant.
What? It what?
They don't go against each other, but it's kind of redundant. There are ways, like if you land at the airfield and you have to roll wheels down, it's still like one applies and not the other. But
so basically, the thing is adventurers already get a bonus to wheels down, which makes them less likely to crash, and they actually kind of want to crash. So taking that move, it's kind of a little bit of a hat on a hat. In addition, it makes it a little bit harder to do it gives you less opportunities to do the thing that you want, that your character kind of wants to do. Well, not your character, but the character sheet wants.
So what it sounds like to me is that because I know that I'm really good at this, it's encouraging me to take incredibly stupid risks doing so. I mean, that's my reading on it. Am I missing something there, or?
No, I wasn't going to say that you shouldn't do it. I just wanted to explain what the hesitation was. If you want to push for your plane to go down, I am not going to stop you.
Oh yeah, no. Like, because here's the thing about that tip to tip thing. I ask if it's remotely possible. You'll tell me, and if you say yes, I don't need to roll. But if you say no, it's not remotely possible, I can still try to land, but make the roll. So that's.
No, if it's not remotely possible, you fail.
Okay,
you
well then that's a thing that might happen too. So I just like that move.
No, I totally get it. I think it's an awesome move too. So those were the two things that you got from training. I'm also going to give you the automatic level ups from missions that you missed. I'm not going to give you the other opportunities for level ups, but sorry, I'm getting a lot of background noise. So you're going to get 2 additional advances that you get to choose. And the advances, the way it works is if you look at the playbooks and you go to the Hawk playbook, it's just like any other Powered by the Apocalypse where it says, choose for, mark off one of these options every time you level up or every time you advance. This game, however, has no experience. It's just there are things that will trigger in advance. The one thing that obviously doesn't make much sense is moving west. I'm not going to tell people not to do it, but don't do it before we even do the duty station.
Okay, so I'm going to take Honor and Pride so that I get a medal.
Awesome. And then we can discuss how you earned the Medal of Valor.
And I'm going to take Added Responsibility.
Oh, so you are the Lieutenant Commander.
Oh, is that what that does?
Yeah, it makes you go up a rank, I believe.
Increase in rank. That seems totally legit to me.
Okay. Well, I'm making a change.
Because you know what military units love? You know what's the favorite thing for a close-knit military unit to have happen? And that is a by-the-book new officer who is suddenly in command of them just comes walking in. That is every soldier's favorite thing in the world.
The funny thing about parachuting in commanders is that we don't even get issued parachutes in these planes.
Arrive on horseback.
Okay. Now, that means that you probably have been flying for the 587th, just with a different squad. Sure. Where are medals? I should probably use the index instead of the table of contents. It's either 26 or 29. Probably 29. Okay, so the Medal of Valor is awarded to soldiers of the Soviet Army, Navy, border and internal troops, and other citizens of the USSR, as well as persons who are not citizens of the USSR, for personal courage, bravery displayed in battles against the enemies of the socialist motherland while protecting the state border of the USSR during the performance of military duties in circumstances involving a risk to life. So, Askana, how did you risk your life to defend the motherland?
Oh, you know what? I think like there was like the Nazis strafed our airfield and everybody else was ducking for cover. And like I ran out to help push one of the planes into the hangar so that it didn't get shot up. And I think it probably chafes me that they gave me a medal for something for pushing a plane into a hangar, but I've never gotten one for flying.
That's how Masha got her other medal. You put you put a fire out on somebody. You risked your life to save another fellow airwoman. And I think it was Hannah.
To say, was that me or Hannah?
Yeah, so that medal
I must have been on fire.
So, thank you. That reminded me. It's like, oh yeah, it's not just flying that gets you the shit.
It's not that I have so many that I can't remember, but I just can't remember.
Okay. So you took honor and pride and medal, which that makes sense. That also gave you your promotion. So you should have +1 for your medals and be and change your rank to junior lieutenant.
Done.
Oops. You also have to up your rank, junior lieutenant.
Got it.
Okay. So you've been transferred over to section 1A, all pride and honor, and this is your first evening in command of it. And actually, I think you just earned your promotion to junior lieutenant. You have not been a section commander yet. You are called in with a bunch of other junior lieutenants to go, and some women who are higher rank, to go over your mission for the evening. And actually, I think you came from a different, a far enough section that this is, you are new under Senior Lieutenant Olga Petrova's command. You do not know her yet. Which, by the way, her ankle is healed. I should get rid of that. So she comes in and she's giving out each of the squadron commanders their missions, and she's detailing out that you are performing a harassment bombing of German positions near the Karamazovsky Zavad rail junction. She's going over where she's expecting there to be searchlights and flat car mounted anti-aircraft guns. Obviously, you don't know for sure, but this is where she she suspects. So, as the section commander, you get to assign everyone's role as pilot and navigator, and decide who's leading the attack run and who's being the Vidayamas, as well as which planes everyone is in. Now, it's uncommon for a section commander to prefer a reserve aircraft over one of the standard ones, but that doesn't mean that you can't.
All right. After taking the briefing in, I turn to the section, and so out of character just for a second, David, is there a place where all the names are in one spot so that is section info? Is that what I want to be looking at?
Section info is where the planes are. I have an NPC list, and I tried to get all of the people who are very relevant to the section all together.
Okay, so the summary tab is what I want to be looking at there, right?
Summary is where the NPCs are, and if you tell me where people go, I'll fill them in on the other thing. And as a matter of fact, I'm making an edit right now to make it easier to spot. So the chunk of 3 NPCs are the 3 NPCs that are pilots / navigators in your section. Plus, there's the 3 of you.
Okay, so there's the 3 of us, Kardina, Sonia, and Yelena?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's always 6 women in the air.
Got it. Okay. So, and all of this is, I'm not going to do it as a player, but all of this is delivered in very kind of formal, clipped. I refer to people as comrade lieutenant, comrade sergeant, stuff like that, and go right down the list. So it's going to be Petrova's going to be the no, not Petrova. No, that's our sorry. Kardina is the pilot, and Filipova is the navigator.
Which plane?
Or where the plane? Where?
Planes are in the section info tab.
Oh, okay. I gotta flip back and forth here.
If you give me a general description of which plane, I can figure out which one.
The humpback. They are in the humpback.
And you said it was Kardina as pilot and Yelena as navigator?
Yes. Comrade Lieutenant Kardina, pilot. Comrade Junior Lieutenant Filipova, the navigator.
Okay.
Comrade Sergeant Yegorova is the pilot of the kite. With Comrade Sergeant Gordiskaya as her navigator.
Wait, I thought you said it was Sonia who was piloting?
No. Oh, sorry, it's Dasha.
Dasha's piloting.
Dasha's piloting. Yeah, sorry, I apologize. I am not as adept with names off the battle.
It took us a while to learn too.
Who everybody is. So Dasha's the pilot, Sonia's navigating, and I am in the Rusalka with Masha as my navigator.
I like our new section commander.
Yeah, I was like, oh, were they setting up Dasha not to fly again? It's like, nope.
You're getting to fly.
Yay.
There's the first time for everything.
Okay.
I've flown before, and the slow plane too. So.
Yeah.
Who are you putting in charge of the attack run?
That'll be me.
And who's going to be in charge of wayfinding?
That will be my navigator.
Okay. By the way, you can put navigate pilots in charge of wayfinding if you want. I mean,
I can.
Yeah.
This is our first run. I'm not gonna. I'm way too much of a like. This is like where I see what everybody can do.
Yeah, absolutely. There is absolutely a pettiness that can go into being section commander, like punishing people who annoy you and shit like that.
No. Everything I do is for the good of the motherland.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when Hannah shows up. I love Hannah. She was great. So we are doing the mission moves. So it always starts off with a wayfinding roll. So our esteemed navigator, Masha, please roll plus skill, unless you have a move that fucks that all up.
Yeah, I'm rolling plus luck. So it's +2. So let me open up roll for my party. 2d6.
I did post a link to it.
Yeah. Flying humpback, which is very, very fortuitous.
No, you're flying the cursed plane.
No. The name of the roll for your party room is flying humpback.
Oh yeah, I kept the same one from last time. Oh, actually, I just assumed that Dasha was in 256 and you were taking 281. Was that what your intention, Jim? Yeah. So you went ahead and took the cursed plane to be alive.
Yeah, we're in the Rusalka. Yes.
Yeah. So I rolled a 6 + 2 is 8. So I need to pick one off the list.
Oh, enemy fire. You know you want it.
No, I don't. I mean, okay, I'm like very good at avoiding that, but why would I take the chance? I mean, we have no mission pool, right? So I'm going to take the stress, 1 harm each to me and Oksana. So I think that is...
What goes wrong that causes you that stress, harm, however it is?
Yeah, I think I am annoyed because I'd been talking to Oksana just the previous day about how I really liked flying in Kite. And then it's like, no, come over here. You're flying with me in the reserve plane. And it's like, really? And it's like, oh, you have to prove a point, don't you, junior lieutenant? Obviously, I don't say that. Maybe I do say that under my breath. So
I like the idea that you two are getting snippy with each other.
Yeah, and so, but I think by and large, it's like, well, we should really, because we haven't had a huge amount of time flying in this area, let's try to avoid some of those identified anti-aircraft areas. So we're kind of taking a slightly longer route than textbook, and that just leads to us being up in the air a little bit longer. So that's tiring for us.
Okay. Well, then, Oksana, roll your attack run.
Sorry, just want to be clear. Am I marking harm on that? Is that what's happening there?
Yes.
Yeah, so I get to choose.
Okay.
We divvy out 2 harm, and I'm taking 1 each because, you know,
Okay.
I try not to for us to get harmed too much or hospitalized on our first mission.
All right.
So you know, the way harm heals is it's progressively harder the more harm you have. So 1 harm, if you get a good night's sleep, you take care of yourself, you eat a real meal, you don't push yourself for anything. You know, you're kind of giving up opportunities to increase your mission pool. You can heal 1 harm. If you've got 2 harm, you have to skip a mission in order to heal. If you've got 3 harm, you need bed rest.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so attack run time. I have got guts of 0. So I'm just going to roll that straight and see what happens. That's an 11.
Oh,
Wow.
I am so sad.
Hot
This was a
shit.
golden opportunity.
I was all prepared to roll for a bit of Maya, but I don't have to.
Remember, you don't roll for a bite, Maya. You just take
Oh,
the
you just take it.
consequences.
That's right. Cool.
Well, that opens it up. Hey, Dasha.
Yeah.
This is a boring mission. It's going by the book. But you know what? It's dawn, and on your last run on your way back, you see not that far off from your route, the light's starting to come in. You think you see a German motorcade with escort. This is probably someone pretty important. Now, you have one bomb left, and it would be breaking flight pattern. But do you want to try to take out a potentially important German official?
Well, yes, I do.
Yes. That would be a tempt fate.
Yes, it would. Temptation fate is plus luck or guts. It's
Guts.
plus guts. Cool. Gotta move stuff around here. Oh crap! I just
Remember, you can just feel free to highlight 2 dice and hit reroll rather than adding new dice each time.
I rolled dice and then I can't tell which ones were mine.
Why don't you just highlight 2 dice? Remember, it's shift for highlighting the second dice.
Oh.
And hit reroll.
Cool. Yes, I'm gonna do these bright red ones. Oops, in the middle here.
I'm gonna delete some of these extra dice because we really only need 1 set.
Wait, did those reroll? I don't remember what it said before.
Just reroll them right now.
Okay, cool. It's like that's probably.
If you're not sure, just reroll.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having here. Let me scroll down so I can see the dice and also reroll. There we go. All right, that is a 6, but I have guts. Too many windows. How much guts do I have?
Looks like you've got 2.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so that's an 8.
So if you want to, as you're setting up your attack, your bombing run on this motorcade, you start to hear what's starting to become a very familiar sound of. Where is it? You hear the sound of some F-190 or FW-190 scrambling. So if you carry through with it, it will give them the chance for those planes to catch up to you, or you can back off before they get there and probably get too close to the airbase for them to reach you in time.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do it? Yes. So Askana, you hear the familiar sound of FW-190s, and you look behind you, and Dash is out of formation.
Like, we don't have radios or anything, right?
Nope.
No.
All hand signals and things like that.
Is it readily apparent why she's out of formation?
Since you're in the lead,
Yeah.
You can't see what Dasha sees. You would have to turn the plane towards where she's heading in order to spot it.
All right. Then I I don't know what she's doing. Like I like whip my scarf off and like wave it in the air to try and like get her attention, but like we're gonna keep going.
You're not going to stick with Dasha.
No, I don't know what she's doing.
Yeah, if you're not going, Cardina's like, fuck it, I'm not risking my life on this shit.
Yeah, and like if she like if like I see her wingtip wag or whatever, I'm like stay in for I'm like pointing like stay in formation, stay on my right where you're supposed to be.
Right, yeah, and I'm pointing like, look down there.
Totally up for this. It's like, yeah, let's get this German bastards. So yeah, you one bomb right. You actually see it like land in this guy's lap, and you fly away, at hearing the explosion. So, mission accomplished. Except now you are in a patch of FW90s. It is an awkward thing. Take enemy fire. I think that's the way to do this.
Yeah, that seems right.
Then I need to figure out which Nazi you murdered.
Let's see, I rolled a 10. That is luck. Do I have any luck? Not that it matters. As long as I don't have negative luck.
Yeah, because that if you have negative luck,
I do not have a negative luck.
No,
I won.
Don't take enemy fire. So yeah, you the FW190s still haven't figured out how to deal with your slow planes. So, they're coming in, they're firing their machine guns at you. You're just like banking up. It's nice and lazy. And you have this nice leisurely flight back. And everything's awesome.
Yeah. It's like dusting cops. It's cool. Easy.
It's so different. So Ascana, Dasha was like a half hour behind you. That's how late she is. So how do you greet her when she arrives? And that's going to be the last thing we do. You're muted, Jim.
Sorry, that's that gauntlet politeness thing. So, I am, kind of waiting there at the airfield. I'm whatever. I'm cleaning up my plane and, kind of being a pain in the ass to the mechanics who are working on it on the Rusalka. And when I see her come down, I go running over to meet her at the end. When she kind of like taxis around or whatever, and I just say, comrade, you broke formation. What happened?
Cut.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was going to be the last thing we did.
Nice.
Because cliffhangers are great. Mm-hmm. Also, we're right at 3 hours, so I'd like to do a little bit of debrief and decompress, and I'll stop the recording and we can talk about other things to further decompress and take things from there. So thank you. I think this was a great setup and a great first run, and oh my God, nothing went wrong. What is wrong?
So different from I'm not half dead. What the hell?
I don't know, guys. What was different this time from the
dice?
The very first mission, I set the team up to fail hardcore in their very first mission. Like, I sabotaged that mission hard. Which I decided not to do this time. Not that it was a bad choice the first time, it's just different tone.
I was getting ready to remind people that if something that you have regard for is killed or destroyed, you take 1 harm. So if 256 went down with Dasha, I was taking 2 harm.
And that's a question. So like the regard I have for that plane didn't give me a bonus on that attack run.
Oh yes, it would have.
Oh,
but you had a 10 plus.
Yes, yeah. I rolled an 11 on the dice, so that was awesome. But I just it occurred to me that we did like I don't think we did not even factor that in.
Yeah, for this game, I'm not going to police your rolls very much because there's so much else for me to think about. So this is something that I haven't done before, but I've been playing in a couple of games that did it. So let's go ahead. Let's do Wishes and Stars because I've actually found wishes very, very helpful in showing the person running the game like what people want to see. So let's start with Masha because you were a bit quiet at the end. Not that you personally were quiet. Actually, I should debrief. We're using actual names. Dano. And I know I mispronounce your name all the time, so I apologize for that. Wishes and Stars.
Stars. I think I really enjoyed going through our list of questions again. Even though we had done, a set of 6 each at the start of the last campaign, doing it again really helped to kind of make us a unit again. With Jim joining in, and it gave us some extra depth. And some of those questions, I think we kind of knew the answers to, but it was good to build on top of stuff we knew. So I really enjoyed that part. And wishes. I guess next time I'm really looking forward to doing some day moves. Not just because we need that mission pool because we're not going to get lucky that time around, but the actual role playing is good. But that's obviously like a factor of our timetable, right? So we have to do character gen and all that stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. And really doing the mission at the end, I like doing just as a seed for the next session. So Bethany.
Yeah, actually, the questions. I'm glad you redid the questions because it, not only like new information, but it kind of reminded me a lot of stuff from last season that I had forgotten about. So it was like a really helpful reminder. I really like Jim's. Jim, are we just reprising our character dynamic from Monster Hearts?
Oh my god, I guess we kind of are, aren't we?
But anyway, it was a good character dynamic. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but like one of the things I find in a lot of games I play is I like and I think I've said, like, Bethany, we've played a few games together. I like to kind of wait and see what people haven't taken. And like the kind of like authority figure, person in charge, kind of like I'm not a rebel kind of person is often not something that people step up to choose. They don't like necessarily want to go, I want to be the person who's in charge. I want to be the, like that. And so a lot of times that kind of character tends to sort of be there and available from like after people have taken like the cool and quirky stuff. And so I do kind of end up playing those characters sometimes in a way that I enjoy and that is a lot of fun. And I'm perfectly happy to, run the gamut as happens. But yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't even thought of that, but absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of funny.
You're very good at it.
I will take that in the as the compliment with which it is intended.
It's meant to be. Yeah. Which is, I'm also looking forward, especially given the, Jim's character. I'm looking forward to doing a lot of day moves and all of the drama that will form from that. And I'm sure there will be some.
I'm hoping that's why I gave you that opportunity there to blow up some an important nonsense. So Jim, wishes and stars.
One of the stars that I have is that everybody was very cool and very patient about like getting me up to speed and going on a thing where like clearly you guys had, because you had played those half a dozen sessions, there's like, you have history and there's characters that you've established and all that kind of stuff and everything, but I never felt particularly like I like lost, or like you had like in jokes you weren't sharing with me or anything like that. And like, it was really easy to just go right into it. And especially I think like everybody's talked about how cool it was, David, that you redid the questions, including ones that everybody had answered before. And I really appreciate that. And that was fantastic. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I thought about it, I'm like, no, we need to redo questions. Because, that gives you a chance to get an idea of who the characters are. So I tried very hard to give Dasha and Masha questions that they had not answered before.
Sure.
So that it wasn't just repeating the same answers, and really giving it an idea of, well, what has happened to these characters since then.
I also I spent an hour myself thinking like kind of doing character building and thinking about who she was. And the two of you focused her more with just 2 single questions, like from your character to her, like as that like hour of me just running stuff around in my head did. So that was really cool that we all asked each other a question like that. I really like that.
Excellent. Thanks. My stars, you guys were all fantastic.
So can I do wishes?
Oh, sorry, wishes, forgot.
That's okay. So I guess the one thing that I want to say is next weekend's a holiday weekend, so I'm not going to be here. And then the weekend after that's a convention. So I'm not here the next 2 weeks, but I'm here for the 3 final sessions. So I you have permission to like resolve that cliffhanger in a manner of that you think is consistent with my character. But so one of the wishes is I know not everybody finds the flying a mission part of this to be as compelling as the daytime stuff. But and we were kind of pressed for time, but in the future, when we do missions, I would love to be able to, like, if I'm making the attack run and I hit a 10+, I want to be able to narrate like the cool stuff that we do. And not just say, cool, you made the roll, nobody got hurt, and we're back to the airfield. Which we had to do today because we're, like I said, we're up against it on time, and this is kind of to just get everybody into it and stuff like that. But to good action narratives reveal character through action and how people take action and how they respond to action. And like we had this awesome attack run. Like, what did the brand new kid in the back of the other plane think? Was it awesome? Was she whooping and hollering? Did she vomit in the back seat because she watched half a dozen guys just get blown up and their limbs go flying? Like stuff like that, where we can find things out about people, like in the mission part of it. If there's any way to work more of that in, I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, no, and I'll be honest, that is probably a weakness of mine is, I very much see the missions as basically a seed for the drama to happen during the day. But I do know that people oftentimes want to see more of that action in missions. I'm like, okay, I have to remember to do this, but it's one of those things like, I have to remember to do that because there's so much.
And you don't have to make a bunch of stuff up. You can just ask a couple of questions and let people answer. But the rules, like the mechanics, push you in that direction because it's all resolved with a single die roll. Mm. So it can get very easy to kind of fall into that. Well, that's like we've dealt with that mechanical thing, and now we're back to just to the consequences of it. And the consequences of it are all fascinating, and that is generally like that should be 80% of the play. But to just kind of to be able to live those moments out a little bit, I would love to see that in the future.
Yeah, no, and definitely like if it's a major like, hey, this is a game-changing situation, I definitely do like that. I think we went into a decent amount of detail with the Yellowtail fight as well as the the fight at the finale. We definitely went into more detail about it. So, yeah, this routine run,
cool.
It wasn't
so being here for the last 3 episodes sounds like the way to go then.
It tends to be when things start blowing up a lot.
That's great. I like things blowing up, so that's good.
I wasn't talking about literally. Oh my god, those last 3 sessions of the last run were amazing. As far as my wishes, and I know it's going to happen, I can't wait to see how everything gets fucked up. Because I am mean and I know it, and oh my god, it is so delicious making your lives miserable.
Like, is there a specific way for things to get messy that you find particularly fun that we can maybe play towards? Or
trust me, I am going to take every little leftover string that you leave me and find a way to turn it into a knife to twist into.
Weave it into a noose. Okay, got it.
It's a target-rich environment, is what,
for sure.
Like I think one of the highlights of last season was when I did the NKVD interrogation of Hannah, who was the like true believer in the Soviet Union, and that was a dark episode. But like I said, I will be looking for those opportunities. I'm sorry if things get dark again, but I think it's one of the great things about this game is that it lets you explore those really terrible situations, but in a way that's like, oh wait, no, okay, it's a game. I get to feel these emotions, and then 3 hours later, not feel them anymore. So I'm looking forward to that. But thank you all. This was great. This was a great setup. I think this is going to be a fantastic run. Jim will have to find out basically how Askana deals with the fact that, hey, she's not necessarily so happy with this unit and has to take a break and come back later. And wait a second, all this happened because of it? I don't know. I still have to decide who that Nazi VIP was, and whether it was a good or a bad thing that you blew them up.
Yeah, it's bad that like it can be a bad thing to blow up Nazis.
Well, no, you've just got to decide which Soviet spy was in that car that got blown up along with the Nazis.
That's the possibility, but at the same time,
it's not like we don't have a history of
Black
getting into
Widow,
trouble
no!
Germans.
Look, it's one thing to blow up a Nazi in an escort. It's another thing to kill a Nazi who you've taken prisoner and might have valuable information, which is a thing that happened. Well, thank you. I'm going to end the broadcast, and then we can really break away from the game and just discuss other things for a little bit to help, decompress.